Hello, people that joined. Legit Bat, Lubrizi, Creation by Lens, Amit, how you doing, buddy? South Lens Photography, thanks for joining. As you can see, I'm not in my basement nerd-dwelling Star Wars room. I am in my car at a secret remote location, aka outside of my office. What's up, Legit Bat? Everybody, go check out Legit Bat podcast. They're freaking awesome. Good stuff. We recorded a few weeks ago. I'm sure we'll be doing it again in the future. So, anyways, I'm here in my secret remote location, aka my office. I'm sitting in my car. Just wanted to do a live video. I haven't done a live video in a little while. Wanted to talk about something that's pretty good parallel to things happening in our world. Kenny K, how's it going, man? Black Pill Radio, go check it out, everybody. Open Eyes Media 369, hey, how's it going? So I wanted to talk about something called the dark side spiral today, which is something I've talked about in a podcast a while ago, and I've talked about it here and there a little bit. And actually while I'm in my remote studio, I actually brought a visual reference. Check this out. So this is the dark side spiral, according to Yoda. It's 4 steps, so it's fear, anger, hate, and suffering. He mentions this to Anakin when he's very young. He had just shown up at the Jedi Temple to be trained to be a Jedi, and Yoda sensed a lot of fear in him. And Anakin was like, well, what's the big deal with that? He's like, everything. It's a really big deal because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And you see this happen to Anakin a few times during the prequel trilogy, how this comes to pass, exactly how Yoda said. So I'm going to kind of go through that real quick, and then we'll kind of get into some real world parallels. So in the second movie of the prequel trilogy, Attack of the Clones, Anakin has grown up a little bit. He's like 18, 19, 20 years old. You know, basically a space millennial at that point. He thinks he's the shit. He thinks he knows everything. He's starting to get visions of his mother in pain. So he's having these visions of his mother in pain, and that makes him afraid, okay, right? So there's step 1. He's afraid of losing his mother. He's already had to basically give her up to go on this journey that he's on. Yes, Yoda sensed much fear in him. So he had to give up his relationship with his mother to go on this path that he was on to join the Jedi Temple. Hey, quick draw 1025, my good friend Cody, I love you so much, and you're so hot as well. Holiday 1994, heard there are going to be free death sticks. There are going to be free death sticks at the end. We're going to do it like a timeshare, where I'm going to kind of go through the presentation. And if you stick around to the very end, you get 1 free death stick, which, as we know, is like space heroin. So 1 free space heroin to everybody who listens to the entire presentation. So there is a non-drug version as well if you want that instead. So just hit me up in the DMs and we'll talk. So he sensed he was afraid of losing his mother. He already basically lost her, but he didn't want to lose her to death as well. So that made him very afraid. So he went on this mission to try to find her. He did find her. She was kidnapped and taken captive by these sand people. I don't know if that's a derogatory term to use, but it's in the movie. So she was captured by the sand people, and she was about to die. And she actually did die in his arms. So once she died, that's where the anger set in, right? So the anger set in. And then immediately, and you can kind of hear it in the music as he's holding his lifeless mother's corpse in his arms. Kind of morbid to think about it. That anger quickly turns to hate. And he goes and he slaughters the entire village, men, women, and children. And even tells Padme, he's like, I killed them all. I hate them. They're animals. I slaughter them like animals. And so great suffering was inflicted upon this people. You know, maybe for good reason. I don't know. I don't know the mechanics of it. I mean, they shouldn't be kidnapping and torturing old women. I don't think that's a good thing. But anyways, so fear, anger, hate, suffering. And it's the path of the dark side, right? Because he's already started to become evil, right? He said he hated them. So then you see this basically happen again, almost the same exact way in Revenge of the Sith. He's starting to get visions of his wife dying. And so once again, there's your fear. He's afraid of his wife dying. That's the first step. He thinks, hold on 1 second, sorry. As the movie goes on, you know, he's slowly becoming aware that the Jedi Council doesn't trust him. He's been added to the Jedi Council by Palpatine, but they don't really believe that he should be a Jedi Master, all this kind of stuff. So he's already starting to get some anger and resentment toward the Jedi Order. So he's angry at the Jedi. Fast forward to the end of the movie, he's completely manipulated by Palpatine to do a bunch of evil things. And after his duel with Obi-Wan, he says, "I hate you," right? So after his fateful duel with Obi-Wan, he loses arms, legs, he's left to die, and he yells out to Obi-Wan, "I hate you." So then there you go, fear, anger, hate. And then suffering, honestly, he's the one that suffers in this scenario because he has to live the rest of his life in that metal, casket, basically, of Darth Vader. So Yoda was right. Fear is the path to the dark side if it goes unchecked, if you let it get to a certain level, if you let it get to the suffering level it can. So now, let's talk about our world a little bit. When I did this podcast about this topic last year, I used kind of like the BLM Antifa, defunding the police thing as kind of the template, right? Like if you're afraid of the police, then you get angry at the police, then you hate all police, and then you want to burn down cities. There's your suffering. Now that we know more about COVID and all this vaccine stuff, we can almost take it to an extreme level with this dark side spiral. Just talking about the people that are in power in our world, right? They are inherently afraid of us because there's more of us than them. They know that unchecked, we could usurp their power if we needed to. So what they needed to do was create some kind of mechanisms to control us. And a lot of what happened is they kind of made everybody turn against each other, right? Because they didn't want to outright try to kill people, although they do. They wanted people to turn against each other. So think about it this way with the whole COVID, especially the vaccine conversation right now. They've created all this fear amongst the people. Probably anybody who's listening to this is probably not afraid of it, but they've released this COVID fear into the world, okay? So people are, quote unquote, afraid of this invisible virus with a very minuscule percentage of fatality associated with it. So they've done that. They brought the fear. What happens next is, after the vaccine rollout, what we see is that there's now a lot of anger towards people that are not vaccinated, okay? And it becomes more, and then it becomes more than that. It becomes, okay, why aren't you getting the vaccine? Do you hate my grandma? You want us to die? This and that, da da da. So it starts off in the passive way of just that anger, but then recently we've been seeing it's turned to hate. I mean, look at Don Lemon and all those bullshit people on CNN talking about, well, if you don't get the vaccine, guess you don't get to do this, you don't get to do this, you don't get to do this, and basically treating you like you're a leper if you don't choose to get the vaccine, because it should be all about choice. So there's your hate. Now it's becoming us versus them, the pandemic of the unvaccinated, as they say, right? So there's your hate, and then the suffering piece of it. I don't know. I don't know that we necessarily have an answer to that yet, but what they would prefer to have happen is that anybody who's not vaccinated, it cannot participate in society. I mean, that's what they want. They want to make you suffer without making it mandatory. They want to make you suffer. They want to make you feel like you're missing out on things. They want to make you feel like lesser of a person. So there's that kind of suffering. And then pretty soon, like you've already kind of seen in New York, they want to take it to an extreme level of, forcibly vaccinating people, stuff like that. So basically you can kind of see that fear, anger, hate, suffering spiral happen in our world as well. So that was kind of all I wanted to talk about today. I appreciate everybody hopping in here. I was trying to do this on the Rockfin network, but I don't think I can do it from my phone, and I didn't have the right software or something. So anyways, I'll post this up on my Rockfin channel as well as YouTube, and I'll probably even throw it in my podcast feed as well for those who weren't able to listen. So I really thank everybody for hopping on and chatting really quick. I hope to do more of these going forward, because it's always good to do little live videos like this. And so I appreciate everybody joining. May the Force be with you, and be cool, America, or wherever you're listening to this. Remember Yoda, Do not go down the dark side spiral. Because like he says, once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. So don't let that happen. All right. Take care, everybody.